Note the phases in blue at the bottom. Look familiar? Think sure step. Concept, project, operation, retirement. This is any waterfall project methodology in the world. But this validation process based on GAMP 5 basically parallels this process. So there's my beautiful sure step diagram that Microsoft so lovely built for me. But this is still the same thing. This is GAMP 5, except applied to sure step. Now you see the document deliverables, at least some of them, that fall out of this process. So at the beginning of the planning stage for validation, we produce a validation master plan. It's a strategy document. It says this is the strategy for validating Microsoft Dynamics AX in this environment. And then we have a risk assessment. One of the things that I didn't tell you about GAMP 5 is the GAMP 5 basically introduced the concept of a risk assessment at the core of the GAMP 5 methodology with version 5. Version 4 didn't have it, but version 5 does. We do a risk assessment at the beginning. We assess the risk of the system to marketed product. Essentially, AX does a lot of things that affect marketed product. How many know it's against the law to, for example, ship product to a country that you're not allowed to ship it in? For example, California. You can't ship a product to California that has lead in it. Lead, the chemical compound, lead. So you have to be careful of what you ship to whom. Otherwise, you can find yourself afoul of the regulations. So basically, we do a risk assessment, and we assess the risk to marketed product. We look at legal risk, regulatory risk, compliance risk, risk to GMPs, and so forth. Then we do a requirement specification, a design specification. If you configure AX for your clients, and I'm talking about configuration using the tools within AX, not customization where you're programming. If you configure the system, you need a functional requirements document. If you are customizing the system, that adds a little bit more due diligence to the validation exercise, and you have to produce a design document. So these are some of the things that you want. Here's the good news. Right out of sure step, these document deliverables are already there. So I usually tell partners, you don't have to do for a validated system anything that you're not normally doing in sure step anyway. You just need to provide those deliverables to the validation engineer so that that person can incorporate that into validation. Then while you're doing your final design and configuration, we're doing the OQPQs and the IQs. And we're building those documents, and then by the time you finish with your configuration, the validation team is ready to test. We test the system, and then it goes into the qualified state, or the validated state, if you will. So that's how sure step and the validation methodology parallel one another. These are not mutually exclusive. They actually work hand in hand. So if you're using sure step, which is actually an excellent methodology for your implementation projects, you're halfway there with respect to validation.